Well, good evening to everybody. Good to see you here tonight. We are in for a special treat. Y'all probably should move down, but I know you won't, so just whatever you want to do. But we're going to have an opportunity tonight to hear from some of the mission trips and things that people experienced. I don't know if you know this or not, but Temple Baptist Church is very missions-minded. We use quite a large portion of our budget, probably somewhere around 12 to 15% goes out the door. Then you have a missions committee who takes monies and does missions locally, nationally, and internationally. And so on stage tonight, you're going to get an opportunity to hear from some of those trips. And what we hope to do is, one, I want you to be proud of your church. We want you to pray for these trips. A lot of them will be returning trips again next year, so maybe it would encourage you to say, hey, I could go do that, and so be just open to that. I want to open us up in a word of prayer, and I'm going to turn it over to Tyler because there's a lot of information up here, and we need to hear all of it tonight. I do have one piece of an infomercial. So if you've not been at Temple for a while, we do a wonderful thing right at Thanksgiving where we take out about 500 meals to our community. We get those names from counselors in our school or just people that have shared with us a family that's in need. And so if you can do this, that is you carrying a styrofoam plate around a circle, and you walk up and somebody will put a little bit of meat, and then somebody will put some vegetables, and somebody will put a dessert, and then you walk and you hand it to another group, and then you get back in line and you do that again. Once we fill up the 500 boxes, then you have the opportunity to go out and deliver some of these boxes and pray with that family and give them a Thanksgiving treat. And so we want you to be here 2 o'clock on Sunday. Right now, the biggest thing that I need to remind you is Miss Becky needs some help cooking, warming up some green beans and corn. So if you are willing to do that tonight after our service, if you will see her in the children's check-in area, that's down in Templetown. If you don't know where that's at, follow somebody else that's going to get their kids, and you will find Templetown. And Miss Becky just needs you to warm that up and bring that back with you on Sunday. So let me open us up in a word of prayer, and then I'll turn that right over to Tyler. God, thank you so much for Temple Baptist Church, and thank you for the reach that she has not only in this community, but in our county, in our state, in our nation, and in our world. God, we thank you so much for those that pray for missions. God, we thank you so much for those that give to missions, and we thank you for the feet that go out and do missions. And so, God, we just look forward to hearing these stories tonight, and we just praise you for all that you do through us. In Christ's name, amen.
Thank you, HD. Oh, thank you, Caitlin. Stop sweating. I know you were getting worried. What's an event like this that's out of the norm to start with and already have AV fun? So, my name is Tyler Ubelhart. I am the deacon rep for the missions committee. The great thing about being the deacon rep is you have no vote in those meetings, and so when the committee votes you to MC an event, well, you get. That's why I'm here. So I wanted to take a minute just to introduce our panel for tonight, and then we'll kind of start rolling through some things. First, we have Miss Glenda Steele for the Honduras trip. Miss Brandy Redding. Miss Brandy Redding, wow. That's my wife, so her last name now is Ubelhart. I don't know where that came from. Maybe I sent an email. She did. So, anyways. All right, we're still married. Don't worry. Maybe. For the Dominican Republic trip, Mr. David Flowers is here for the Lynch, Kentucky trip. Pastor Israel is for the Nepal trip. Miss Jenny Morton for Ireland, and Andy Nash for the Canada trip. So, because the missions committee put me here, I'm going to go ahead and call an audible for the evening. Tonight at Hopewell Baptist Church, a large portion of that congregation went to Honduras with Glenda, and they are presenting tonight to their congregation along with a bunch of friends and family. So I'm going to let her go first, and then let her get on the road so she can join that team and share with more people about what God put on their hearts on that trip. So, Miss Glenda, you go right ahead. If you want to, just give us kind of an overview of your trip, where you were, what you did, how long it was, kind of how and why you would recommend that trip, and just something that stood out and what's been put on your heart since you got back.
The first week of November, we left actually on Halloween. I said we left Miami on Halloween, and when we returned to the Miami airport, it was Christmas. But that was just how it was decorated there. But we were there for 1 week. There were 23 of us from 7 different churches, 6 churches from our association, and you had 6 people from your church go. I went, Brandon and Katie Steele went, Michelle Jeffrey, and April and Aiden Pearson. And it was an amazing trip. Our first question was, why would you recommend this trip? I made notes because I could talk this whole hour, and I don't want to do that. So why would you recommend this trip? You have the opportunity to be Jesus' hands and feet as you bring his light and his love to the children there. It is if I tell you where I went, it's Honduras to the Good Shepherd's Children's Home. And I really can't tell you the city that we went to. We flew into a big city, and we drove for 3 hours and went from what was like first world country to third world country. So it was quite the journey on a Friday night in what they consider rush hour traffic. So, but we truly did take light to the children there, because these children predominantly stay on this campus 24/7. So unless a team goes, they are in the same mundane routine every day, and there's not a lot of light there. So when a team goes in, it's like you're literally taking the light of Jesus and the love to them. And from this size to teenagers will wrap you up and love on you. So I really don't know who receives most there. None of this is not on my piece of paper, but I don't know who receives the most love there. But we're also able to love and encourage the house moms. They call them tias, which is an aunt in Spanish. And these women have families of their own, but they sacrifice basically their life to care for these children. And they get about 2 days off a week when someone will swap in for them. So they come in and do that. You also have the opportunity to be involved in some of the maintenance and upgrade the campus projects there. And when you're upgrading and doing this maintenance, this allows for the money that goes to the children's home and to the sponsored children to go to them and not to be going towards paint or concrete or whatever the project needs to be done there. But you also, it's like, why would I recommend this trip? You also have an opportunity to stay in a very safe, it's as safe as possible, I would say. There are, the campus, Honduras is all hills. The campus is on a hill. So at the top of the hill is the church, and at the bottom of the hill is the school. But at the very top and at the very bottom are armed guards. And then throughout the night, an armed guard walks the campus. So you are in a safe space. You're provided 3 meals a day, and you have a nice house to stay in, and you have hot showers. So those are all nice things to have when you go on a trip. He asked what encounter was most impactful. From the beginning, when I felt called to go, I felt that God was calling me to go to love and encourage the house moms. I was privileged to get to share 2 devotions on Monday and Thursday with them, but the second one was definitely the most impactful for me. I shared 1 John 3:16. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. And these ladies do this every week, every month, all year long. There are potential of 10 houses, but there are 8 houses that are in use because of funding. And then there's also the ladies in the office, so you have and the ladies in the kitchen. So we would have anywhere from 13 or 14 women come to this devotion. And I told them that just as Jesus had washed the feet of the disciples, I asked them for the honor and the privilege to wash their feet. And although initially they were hesitant, actually I would say initially they were scared to death if I'd only had a picture. But they all allowed me that privilege. And as I washed their feet, 4 of the women on the team gathered around these tias and they prayed for them. Can't even describe the sweetness of that moment. At the end of this, the tias gathered around us, and they powerfully prayed over us. They prayed specifically for my daughter-in-law. She attended both of these devotions with me. My daughter-in-law is Katie. She's been trying to have a baby for 7 years. So they prayed for her, and they prayed hard, and they said, we're going to put your name on our wall, and you let us know when this happens. And so needless to say, the emotions in that morning cannot really be put into words because it was the sweetest thing ever. Since coming back, what have I reflected on? And mine just goes all the time, but 2 things come to mind, and that is that the teams going in are pretty much the only lights these children have. And also, I just keep thinking about the sacrifices that these women make to come and stay and love and nurture and guide these children. It's just, I just cannot imagine. They are literally laying down their life. And so if you get a chance, I would really encourage you to go. It will, you will not stay the same.
Thank you, Ms. Glenda. All right. And if you are interested in that trip, please reach out to Ms. Glenda, Michelle, April, that went on that trip as well. Ms. Jubelhar, my beautiful wife. Mm-hmm. Sorry for earlier. We're going to continue on and go over the Dominican Republic trip. So, again, just overview of where you were, how long it was, and who you were with. And
I'm interested to see what picture goes up there. Okay, I'm Brandy Jubelhar. Like Tyler said, we went to the Dominican Republic for a week. This is year 3 that Temple has joined with A Door to Hope to go to this mission house in the Dominican. This is year 2, so I've only been 2 of the 3 years, and both years were just amazing. A lot of what Miss Glenda shared about just not being able to explain the experience is a very real feeling. One thing that so it was for a week. We had 15 of us, I think, give or take, this past year that went. I got the privilege and honor to share this experience with my oldest nephew, Maverick. I don't know if we're live streaming or not. Never mind. I was hoping he would see. But that was wonderful. And then we go with A Door to Hope, and there were a couple of people through A Door to Hope that were with us as well. And we stay in a mission house called Maranatha Mission. One of the most amazing things that I take away both times that I went on this trip is the second you walk into this mission house, you are home. All of the people who work and serve in this mission house are there for the Lord, and you can see it on their faces, and you just feel like family. So going in the first time, it's a little different. No, I don't speak any Spanish. And so walking in feels a little different, but the second that I walked in, it just felt like home. And so everyone is so welcoming and kind. It's just an overall great experience with Maranatha Mission. Some of the things that we did on our trip, we did food distribution to the Batays. We did VBS at the Batays. And the Batays are, if you think of a big field, you're driving in the countryest of the country here, and there's nothing. And then here we go. Oh, yes, thank you, David. You're so kind back there. Thanks, David. David went, too. I saw Diane, too. Sorry if there's anybody else, I can't see you. But this is where we did VBS. This is in one of the Batays, and you'll notice there in the back You can see some of the homes. You can see, oh, there we go. So this is where the people that we serve live. And so we went to several different baptês, and we were able to distribute food bags in what we would consider doing a prayer walk. And so we'd walk around with the food distribution bags that we have put together at the mission house, and we'd take the bags and we would go with an interpreter and we would pray over the food with the family. And what an experience and blessing it was to me in this last trip that I went on, getting to see my nephew praying over these men, sharing the gospel, sharing the love of Jesus. And what's really cool is while we're praying for them, we also got to rejoice with our brothers and sisters in Christ, because so many of these people were believers as well. And so we got that great, again, kind of like Glenda said, a blessing for us to be able to experience, to see someone have what we would consider so little and be so happy. And so it's a really great experience doing the food distribution walk. Like I said, VBS was a hit. The kids love it. Sadly, we have to turn kids away at the baptês. There's so many that want to come, but we do arts and crafts. We do Bible lessons. It's really neat to see some of our teenagers dive into the Word and share it with kids that don't speak the same language, but everyone's having a great time. So it's a really great experience to be in the baptês and kind of see what they do on a daily basis. Another thing that's really big that we did a teachers conference. So we were able to support, myself along with amazing educators, were able to support the teachers in the Dominican who don't get any type of professional development or growth or learning. I work in education, and several of the others that have went on our trips work in education as well. And we were able to pour into all of these ladies, and we did have a few male teachers as well come in, and it was just a beautiful experience. And I'd love to share, and I don't have the time, but we had our first year. We created these bags, teacher bags. I've shared this story before, and I have to share it every time. But anyways, we walked in with 70-something, panicking because there were more than 70-something teachers, and I was very nervous. They're going to get their feelings hurt. They're not going to get a bag, and everyone walked out with the bag. And that is nothing but the love of Jesus that God provided. And so, if you ever want to hear more of the details of that story, I'd love to share it because it's amazing. Fishes and Loaves. So we did the teachers conference. In that mid-year that I didn't go, they did a pastors conference. And so some of the men and women that went on the trip were able to share those pieces in that. So that's our trip. What else did you tell me to say?
Well, that's good. We'll come back to some
Oh, okay.
detail with it all.
That means I spoke too much. Sorry, guys.
Just want to make sure everybody gets a chance. Thank you. Mr. David?
I'm David Flowers. We go at least twice a year to Lynch, Kentucky. We took 17 people this year. We ended up with just 13 people because we basically just come down there is when you can come and stay as long as you can. We really don't know what we're going to do until the day that we actually get there. But this year we were able to add a bath for a man up there that lost his leg to diabetes, and he had on the process of getting a prosthetic, and he was not able to get into a shower and bathe himself. So we added a walk-in shower for him and a bath, and everything was handicap accessible. The sad thing about this man, we was talking with him, and he was so sick that he may even lose his other leg. And then we don't know what the outcome of that's going to be. We did pray with him. We were able to add some joy to his life, but we got the most joy out of it. A couple of other projects we did, they had a crew that went over and put a roof on the lady's house. We added a storage room to the Heritage Ministry shop, and we had a team to go out and winterize windows. I would encourage anyone that would like to go to Lynch and see these people and help them. I would encourage you to come with us.
David, before we pass it on to Israel, do you mind speaking to Jalen being there and his ministry at all?
Yeah, again, we partner with Heritage Ministries down there, and Jeff Sim and Linda Sim, they started that, I guess, about 15, 16 years ago. I've been going to Lynch for 12 years and been partnering with Heritage for, I guess, the last 9 years that we've been doing with them. And also, Jalen Cram and Haley and his children, of course, they were members here, and he went down there, I guess it was 4 years ago the first time, and God grabbed his heart and said, "You need to be here." And he came home and he told Haley, said, "We need to go to Lynch. We need to move." And they picked up their family, and then they moved down there. It's been 2 years now, and he's doing a wonderful job. He's a great asset to Heritage Ministries.
Thank you. If you don't mind, next on this presentation is Andy. I'm going to just pass down the microphone to Andy.
Man, I thought I had all kinds of time. I'm Andy Nash. Our group went to Cochrane, Alberta, Canada. You'll see it's way up there. That's our group that went. I think that's everybody. We had 16 people from the church that went to the Canadian Baptist Theological Seminary and College. It's a mouthful. And you may ask, okay, how did Temple Baptist get connected with the Canadian Baptist Seminary? And that's it. There's one in Canada. But HD, everybody knows he went to Greenbrier. It's where he got his pastoral education. But he actually went to high school with the president of the seminary, Rob Blackaby's wife. And so we've had a connection with Rob for several years. He spoke one Sunday morning here earlier this year. He has spoken on a Wednesday night. And HD and I have actually talked for probably 6 or 7 years. Hey, we need to go to Canada. We need to go to Canada. And so we finally made that happen this year. God allowed the doors to open. We were planning it before COVID, and then everything shut down, especially in Canada. They were locked down. But Rob Blackaby is the president. He is the nephew of Henry Blackaby, and Henry actually is the one, of course, wrote Experiencing God, other studies, and started the seminary. So it's pretty cool when you go up there. It's a small campus. There's about 100 students. And we took 16 people to go up there. And I'm getting into that first answer there about why would you recommend this trip. This trip is for everybody. One, the weather was super cool. We went July 19th through the 26th. So the first morning we got up, it was 37, which coming out of 90 degrees in July felt pretty good. It's daylight to about 10 o'clock at night, so you got plenty of time to get projects done. But we had two different teams, so to speak. We had a construction team, and then we had a group that led a vacation Bible school. And Miss Becky coordinated that. Her and HD put everything in place to do some outreach there. And one thing we didn't expect, I think there are 18 different nationalities represented at this campus with less than 100 students. Canada is a lot more diverse than I anticipated. It is very diverse. We didn't leave the continent and experienced a lot of different nationalities. I think they had 14 different nationalities represented in the children at the Vacation Bible School. So you heard a lot of different languages. The team that did construction did a lot of maintenance projects around the campus. One thing that's different about this trip is we had to provide our own food, our own cook, and so we had a couple of rock stars that were born. I don't mind telling you. Don Steele is a regular MacGyver. Don can do just about anything. He is exactly what you need on this trip. And then we actually sent Brandon Hill and Chris Bray up a day early. They were our alpha team that really their goal was to go up, rent a car, and go grocery shopping. And so they made all the runs to Walmart and Sam's and everywhere they needed to go. And Chris and Teresa Rigsby helped him a lot. They cooked for us all week. It was excellent. So it was very different. Accommodations are great. The other reason I would recommend it is basically the staff. I mean, it's summertime, so Rob Blackaby was not there. Ed, who's over maintenance, was not there. But the 3 or 4 staff we interacted with are very welcoming. They want you to be there, and it doesn't always come across that way in some mission trips in some places we've been. But they were very welcoming. They gave us a master key to every building on campus, even the dorm rooms that had people staying in them. We had a key to everything, and they just really trust you when you come in. So it's a very welcoming trip. We are planning on going again this next year, July 25th through August 1st. We do have a limit of 20. So they cap it because of transportation. But it was a great trip.
Next, we're going to have Pastor Israel talk about Nepal.
Do you just want an overview, or you want me to do overview in those 4 questions?
No, just overview, and you can go through the first one.
So I'm Pastor Israel Brooks. I've been here a really, really long time. I know that so many of you are glad I've been here so long. But I went to South Asia. There were only 3 of us that went on this trip, Joel Robertson, Jason Riccardi, and myself. We went over for 9 days. Most of that was probably spent traveling, right, Joel? And then we got the privilege of training some pastors that are over there on the front lines in a dark place. And so we trained them. They're taking them through some basically kind of generic seminary training. And they gave us a task to teach and work with them on. And so we taught about 27 of these gentlemen Old Testament survey, which in a second language in hour slots is kind of difficult, but the Lord really used it. Most of them, it was their first type of training ever, and so it was just a real joy and treat to work with these gentlemen that are in a very dark place and don't have much support, to lift them up on the arms of Christ, not only theologically and spiritually, but also just encouraging them and reminding them that they have brothers across the world that love and care for them, and they're not alone. And then also it's just a great time because of the type of trip it is and where you're going. You're going to have a smaller group. We'll be limited to a smaller group. And so you also get an opportunity to know those you're going with pretty well. And like I said, Jason Riccardi is the head of this trip. They're actually looking at adding a couple more elements as we go in the future. But I'd highly encourage anyone to go. It is far, but it's also a fairly safe, easy trip, if I might say. So you're not going to go over there and your world be turned upside down and you're throwing up all over the place because you're eating crazy stuff. And they take care of you, like Andy was saying. And so it's a great, great opportunity to go have a direct spiritual impact to people that live in a dark land, but not be too crazy.
Can you speak to kind of some of that darkness and what they go through as pastors over there?
Yeah, so there's a high population there, and the government will tell you 98% Hindu, only like about 2% Christian, but it's actually about 5%, but they don't want people to know that, and it's growing. And so it's not technically illegal to be a Christian there, but it is practically illegal. And parts of the faith are illegal. And so they're highly persecuted. It really sticks out when you're working with these gentlemen and loving and encouraging on them. Most of them are first-generation Christians in their family. And so their family still will basically excommunicate them and persecute them. And they're also literally seeing their loved ones around them go to hell as they die, but still love on them. And most of the gentlemen we worked with are in smaller villages, which in areas like this, out in the less populated, more rural places, is actually where more persecution happens. And you have no place to kind of go and hide. And so just really they're battling on the front lines and see that darkness every day. And you just get to lift some of that and being with them and loving on them.
Thank you. Jenny is next. You're going to talk about Ireland, and then we'll kind of open up floors into more discussion.
I'm Jenny Morton. I'm Casey Morton's wife. He's in the praise band. You might ask why Ireland, but Ireland is going through what we will and we are starting to see here in the States, where Islam is trying to take over. And so while we were there, we learned a lot about how many ministers are being arrested if they're trying to preach in the streets or hand out pamphlets, where on the same street corner, there can be an Islam leader who can talk and say whatever he wants. So it's really getting kind of scary. So that's one of the reasons we go. Also, our Christianity, because so many of us are from Irish descent, right? It came through there. It came through there and came here. And because of them, we have what we have. We have our beliefs. We have our system that's still in place. Because without them pushing it, we wouldn't have gotten it. And so we just felt, and especially Neil, because this is his passion project, that going back and giving back for what they've given for us. It was a team of 10 that came from Temple. It was a worship team. I obviously do not sing, but most of them did. Michael and Barbara Vincent go, Philip and Karen Cawthorn, Casey, my husband, my daughter Amelia went, and then Katie and Neil. And Katie's son, Cole, went with us this time. And this is our third trip. I went the first year and this year. And it's so powerful to see they do have such a passion to try to spread back what's being lost in their country. They want a fire in Ireland. They want that fire to burn. And it's so hard to watch the things that are happening over there. Why I would encourage you to go is that if you have a gift, if you love worship and you love leading worship, if you love the power of that ministry, it's a fantastic opportunity. You also get the opportunity, if you don't lead like me, to give my testimony from the stage, from the platform, as Neil says, or one-on-one with people. You build relationships. It's a fantastic thing. We led worship. They led worship. 4 or 5 times we had some rain outs because of the weather. It was pretty brutal while we were there, with big storms coming through. But so some of our outdoor events got canceled. But they led worship in churches. They did prison ministry. We did a women's event, a night, and we did a men's breakfast. And it was definitely powerful. It's definitely humbling to see that they are a small group and still worship with such power. You know, their churches aren't like this. They're not big. They're little groups that we went to, and it's very humbling to see the love and the worship that they do. I think that's it.
Can you speak to like the prison
Yes.
visit that y'all had?
So the one we did this time, we had a little. Well, okay, I'm going to explain. Ireland, we obviously have a lot of Irish descendants here because temple time is nothing in Ireland. Our temple time, you get there and your schedule is going to be blown out right away. They go on their own time frame. So there was a lot of stuff that was kind of pushed back or pushed around or moved around, and we didn't know when it was going to happen until you got there. But Hyde Bank was a women's and young offenders men's prison. And this prison is actually working on some new techniques and how to rehabilitate their prisoners. And so they've started, instead of doing chapel in chapel, we have a big community room that it's done in, so more people will come. So it's not just chapel. And so it was there were 30 to 50 women and 5 boys, just 5. There's more than that in the prison, but that's all that came. But that we were so well received. It's scary walking into a prison with barbed wire and all the things around it, but it's also humbling because they look just like us. There's no difference between them and us, except they've done bad stuff and they got caught, And so it's one of the questions that you asked on the thing about what was most impactful. That's always, the prisons have always been my most impactful part because it is so, it's emotional and it's powerful and it's so humbling, to know that their struggles are a lot like ours, but they got caught.
No, that's great. That was my next question for you. So that's great. So when you were there, what was there someone that you encountered that has kind of stuck with you, or is there an event that kind of stuck with you while y'all were there, since you've gotten back, that you reflect on?
Yeah, there was several one-on-one encounters. Different behind the scenes worship leaders, that help behind the scenes. And it was very, there was a couple that really spoke to me because they were so passionate about, even though they weren't out front, they were behind the scenes. They were so passionate about everything that was going on and so receptive to everything that we had to say, and so uplifting that, you just felt, there's times that you're like, oh, what are we doing here? And then on those times when they come to you and they say, thank you for what you're doing. This means so much to us. Why do you come? And that's what we got in the prison. Why do you come from America to come to this prison? And so that, that's, we don't realize the effect we have on them because of that.
That's great. Thank you. I'm going to leave that question out there for the rest of the panel. I mean, is there anything that you've reflected on from your trip since you've gotten back?
A couple of things. One, the shirts that they gave us, their motto there in Canada at the seminary is training leaders. That is right, training leaders for the tough places. And because they come from all over the world, they go back to a lot of places like Ireland or Asia. They're taking the message to some really tough places to build a congregation. Probably the number one thing when I polled the group that stood out to us, I think HD will agree, was the worship service at the Congolese church. So when we partnered, we were working at the seminary, but then we partnered to do VBS with a church plant. Well, at first we had a different one, and then they switched on us, but we didn't know it was a Congolese congregation completely, 100%. And so it was pretty entertaining to watch HD sweat a little bit as he had to preach and did an excellent job through a translator. But this was a worship service that was, it was very African. It was very long. It was very loud. It was upbeat. And, I mean, they were going at it. And it lasted 3 hours. And the worship in the first was a lot of music, and then they spent about an hour saying, Pastor, before we get to you, we got one more song. And I think they said that about 6 times. But just the emotion reminded me of some of the Haitian services, but some of the emotion and how these people worship. And they don't worry about anything. And we're meeting inner city Calgary at a community center that they let people rent. And there's 2 or 3 congregations that meet there on Sunday, so you get them in, get them out. But it was very impactful. But to think here we are going to Canada and going to have a congregation from the Congo and in a complete language that we hadn't ever heard. And there's other foreign people around you. It was very, very diverse. Calgary is a very interesting city. But to think that we were going to Canada was sort of misleading because it was a very international mission trip. That's what sort of stuck with us in that worship service.
Worship workout, huh? A couple things kind of stick out, I guess. One, just personal interactions, encouraging these gentlemen. One, the guy I was telling you, he's a first-generation Christian. His family's Hindu, which is a prominent religion. They have over 330 million God, obviously all false. And so there's just a real entrapment and depravity surrounding him. And his mother, just seeing the heart for his family. His mother was 87 years old and was still in that false religion and just got dementia and Alzheimer's. And so just the concern and praying with him on his mom if she'll even have a chance to receive Christ and be with her in heaven. And just seeing the desire for these gentlemen to grow into fellowship. We take fellowship and discipleship for granted. I mean, how many of you have walked into Connect classes without any intent? But they're coming, they're desiring. They would go over the mountains on scooters. To give you an example, one gentleman, his left leg was about 8 inches shorter than his right leg, and his knee and his hip were cockeyed and just labored walking. And he traveled 8 hours on a scooter one way to come hear me teach for hours through translator.
If you only knew.
I mean, come on now. I know none of you would do that. So just the desire, yes, yeah, you can clap that.
Sorry.
No, you're good. And so that's couple of things. Just seeing that desire that we take for granted, and just wanting to grow in Christ, and just the darkness and the hurt. My family is all saved, and that's quite a joy. But just seeing that hurt.
I think the biggest thing that I do to reflect on my trip back and forth to Lynch is the great poverty that's there. Lynch was once a booming town. It's a coal mining town. Everything was provided for the people. The houses that we go into now, they're over 100 years old. Most of them do not have any insulation. And most of the windows and doors are not insulated either. So, and it's pretty cold in the mountains in the wintertime. And going down there to be able to help these people, and they're so gracious for us to come down and do what little that we do for them. But it's really hard to explain that we need to be there to help these people. They don't have the incomes that we have, and a lot of them don't know where their next meal is going to come from. And next time that you see Mike Witt, thank him for heading up these trips to Lynch. Reach out to Jalen and Haley and Jim and Linda Sim for the ministry that they're doing in that community, helping them to just be a better place for them.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say that when we go on these trips to the DR, there's the fun side of the VBS, Teachers Conference, Pastors Conference, food distribution, but we're also doing a lot of hands-on things as well, and so we're building houses. I don't know, Caitlin, did we have a picture? I didn't see any behind me. Potentially the picture of like the before and after. One year they worked on a house. Did you say no? Okay, so like one year they went, and David and a group, maybe, I thought I saw Joel walk in. Maybe Joel's in here. I don't see him. Oh, hey, buddy. So them and a couple other people got to experience building a house and then going back the next year and seeing it being finished and starting another. So there's some really cool things going on in these Haitian bâtés that we go to. But I think one of the things that I go back on is there is a lady, her name is Estella. She is our main interpreter and has a lot to do background with the Mission House. And her husband pastors a church. And it's not the best part of town, and they typically have service in the evening, so we've never been allowed to go. And like some of these other trips, you're on Haitian time. Temple time is not a thing. We pivot and have to move and groove, and you have to be flexible. So to go on any trip, really, you need to be flexible, but I'll speak on the Dominican. You have to be flexible, and you got to be okay with it. And that's kind of hard sometimes. But we were able to get the opportunity to actually go to Estella's church. She made one phone call. We said, we really want to go, and she said, I'm going to make it happen. And there were probably 30-ish people, I don't remember. They ended up having their service during the day just so we could come. So they called all of the people that come to their church and said, hey, we have this group, from America that are coming, and they really want to join our service. And they said, absolutely, we will do it. And so we all ended up singing a song together. They sang in Spanish, we sang in English, and it is just a beautiful experience of that I had, and I reflect on a lot, that, they did all of that. They did so much work to change their whole, could we imagine changing our whole entire service just because a group of people are coming, and they did that all for us. And it was amazing, and it was beautiful, and I just, what a blessing it was, and I reflect on that quite often.
So I think we got time for one more question. I'll kind of let it roll back through. But as you all know, and anyone else that's been on a mission trip, you plan to go and you serve others, but more times, often than not, God blesses you with something on that trip or something to reflect on when you get back. So The last question is how did God bless you on that trip, or what did he reveal to you while you were on that trip? And that was not in the prepared question, so you're welcome.
Can you ask that question one more time, please,
So,
sir?
how did God bless you on that trip?
Okay.
Or what did something that he revealed to you while you were on that trip? I know you spoke to the first time y'all went with the bags, but something that he blessed you while you were there, or once you could reflect on when you got home.
Yeah, so I will have to say I wasn't feeling well the second year at the teachers conference, and I was pretty defeated. My sweet friend Diane stepped up big time and was just a rock star. And I feel like I brought back, I think in that moment I was nervous, I was scared, we had to make some pivots, and she rocked it. And it was such a beautiful thing to watch her because, hey, she does speak Spanish. And so it was really cool to be with someone who could communicate. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, sure. But I think that blessing part was at the end of the teachers conference this year. Even though our time got cut a little bit short because we're on their time, and all of the teachers and administrators that were with me were like, no, we're not done. We still want to talk all the things. And it was wonderful and beautiful, but I didn't feel at peace with my presentation. And we get into this room and they're giving prizes and it turns into an all-out worship in a teachers conference. And here that is like a big no. So it was just a really cool personal experience for me to feel kind of defeated, and the Lord just showed up and was like, this ain't about you, honey. Sit down and listen. So I kind of hold that with me in my day-to-day world in education, and just realize that, hey, it's not about me or what I'm doing. It's about serving him, and that's where all of these teachers were, and it was just beautiful, beautiful.
I always come back with a feeling of being blessed when I go to Lynch. These people, they love it when we come and help them. But by the time that I get back and I sit back and reflect on that, they're content with where they're at. They're happy even though they have little. So it really touches my heart, and it's taught me to be content with what I have. And not only to be content with what I have, but to be able to share with others of what I have.
So Psalms 27:4 talks about one thing I ask of the Lord, this is what I seek, to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, and to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and worship him in his holy temple. One of the great beauties of God is just the great diversity that he's created in seeing every tongue, tribe, and nation worship and honor him, kind of like Brandy was talking about. And so just that joy of being able to be used, even someone like me, by our great high priest, and to go and to worship with every tongue, tribe, and nation, and just be a part of that, it always gets me.
So the last day we were there before the travel day. There's a travel day going, there's a travel day coming home, and it's all day long. So the last day before we had a Sunday morning service, and we were pretty exhausted, pretty run down, and it ended up being the most powerful service of the whole time we were there. It was also the time that I was asked to share part of my testimony, and the blessing I got from being able to do that, being able to be on stage and do that, and to be able to share, because I'm not an in front of people type of person, was unbelievable. But it was also God putting in me that I do need to be more of that person, that I don't need to sit back and be just the rock worshiping. I need to be out there doing it. And that was what I got from this trip.
You know, we could answer that question a lot of different ways, but we still got time, right? It always amazes me when a mission team comes together, and I don't care where you're going, doesn't matter. But one, nothing will get you out of your comfort zone and your safe zone any quicker than going on an international mission trip. And again, it doesn't matter where you go, whether it's Honduras, Dominican Republic, going to Haiti, going to Ireland, going to Canada, going to Nepal, it doesn't matter. But I've always encouraged people to go because I see, we go into these thinking, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to build a house, we're going to make a difference. No, the biggest difference it makes is in you. And I see that in a team every time. You put a list out there, and people sign up, and you're like, I don't even know them. Well, you spend a week with them, you will get to know them, but it's always, it's the same scriptures when you go to the body of Christ. There are hands, there are feet, there's fingers, there's the brains, and I saw that in our team because we had so many different skill sets and things that you didn't know about people. And Michael Rigsby's not here tonight, is he? I mean, Michael has like diamond status on the airline, so they're like, oh, Mr. Rigsby, you're ready to pre-board. Everybody in your group can pre-board. Boom, we're gone. We're on the plane, and it's like, what a blessing it is. And then, Chris Bray cooking and Becky and HD, Becky organized that VBS to a T. And you got to see every person use their skills and their abilities. And Jeffrey Nash and I were wondering what we were going to do. So we were the demo team because we couldn't do anything else. But we could tear some stuff up. And Jeffrey can drive anything. And they had skid steers, backhoe. They had everything. And he drove tractors. He drove most of them. And so God always provides the specific talents that you need on those teams. And it always amazes me. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I am every year by what plan that God has behind the scenes of putting people together. And the other piece of the question, though, was just how receptive, the other piece of the answer, how receptive the people were there. They were so glad to see us. I worried a little bit about politics going into it, but they're as conservative as we are, and they told us that the first day. And I was worried about our team bringing up politics with Canada and the 51st state thing. No, they brought it up. They thought it was the funniest thing in the world. They thought it was great. But they said, we're just telling you, the middle part of Canada is about as conservative as the South. And there's not as many Christians for sure, but they're very conservative people. And it was really refreshing to spend time there and get to know them, and they really wanted you there and let you do whatever you wanted to do on their project list. They had this whiteboard that was a 4x8 whiteboard. I don't want to call it a grease board. I would date myself. But that was the project list, and we didn't know it until Sunday night in the church. They turned it around, and that was everything to do for the week. And so you got the satisfaction when you completed a task, you got to erase it. And that was pretty cool. I think we need one of those around here. Maybe Israel needs one of those.
Thank you all for sharing tonight. I appreciate y'all being up here. Hopefully Miss Glenda made it safe. I think we'll probably end on that note, just afraid of getting keep going on questions and stuff. But if you go back a slide real quick, that one, there you go. Just to kind of get an idea of where Temple has been this year. The one thing that's not highlighted on there is White House. We have a local ministry here that we, when we go to school, when we go to the grocery store, when we meet somebody in the parking lot, we have an opportunity to share the gospel right here in our backyard. So I'm interested to see what God does for next year and the other mission trips that are planned and are to be planned. If you are interested in any of these trips or want to know more about it or what they did and how they did it, they'll hang out for a couple minutes after service. So you're welcome to come up here and talk to them. You can reach out to the missions committee and talk with them about any trips that may be planned for next year as well. So if there are no more, do we have any more announcements, H? Are we good? Hey, you thought I would go over on time. So, thank you all for listening. I'm gonna pray us out, and you're free to leave after that. And thank you again for the opportunity to be up here and to let them share. So, let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for your love and your grace that you give us. Father, thank you for the opportunities that you have provided Temple and its members to go everywhere. Father, just thank you for the people that they met and the ways that they were able to share the gospel. Father, I just pray that you would open more doors next year as we have opportunities to share your word and about Jesus to the nations, but also here in White House, Father. I encourage us to be followers of Jesus, to do what he asks us to do, to make disciples in all the nations. Father, I just pray that you would be with us through the remainder of this week. And as we leave here, just guide us home safely. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen. Thank you, everyone.